bravi, both of you, fantastic. Sorry. No, don't be sorry, don't be sorry. I mean, you did fantastically well. I mean, I know it's not easy, although it's not as difficult as the second concerto to play, and when there's so many percussions which are just impossible to imitate, but we're very good piano playing and cello playing too. So I forgot, I'm sorry, they sent me an email, but I didn't check today. You're probably playing the whole concerto.
Yeah,
of course. But you're planning to play, what today was planned, the whole concerto?
Maybe two movements.
Yes, I wish you could hear I would love to hear the whole piece. Gosh, I'm so much, and the problem is I don't mind staying longer, but the problem is I have flight to catch. I already changed my flight. I was supposed to go in the morning, but I changed the afternoon in order to be able to spend some time with you. And so we have very limited time. I didn't watch my time properly. I put my watch, but I didn't look at it. Okay, so let's then do whatever before I start talking. Play whatever you want.
Maybe the cadenza.
Okay, whatever.
We'll start maybe with the harmonics of the second movement.
Yes, okay. Anything is fine because.
Okay.
It's a pity. Second movement is so incredible. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. It's okay. And so on. Yes. Wow. I would love to hear the whole thing, but yeah. Bravo. Thank you very much, both of you. Thank you. Really. Yeah, I don't know even where to start, because. But you study still with Eleonora E.Testeļeca, yes?
And the big greetings to you.
Okay, the same, obviously the same. I mean, I know her since literally I was a little boy in the Emīls Dārziņš School, because she was in the same class with my sister, who was 10 years older than me. So now, you know, and she's also 10 years older than me. It doesn't matter, you know. That's not a secret anymore. Anyway, I mean, she's one of the oldest friends I have, literally, and colleagues. And yeah, I don't know what you want from me then, what I'm doing here. You studied with her, and she studied with Shostakovich, so she's told you almost everything. There's one thing which she didn't, maybe forgot, doesn't matter. Anyway, no, you know, this concerto is really not only one of my favorite concertos, one of my many favorite concertos, but it's arguably one of the greatest cello concertos in so many ways. Shostakovich altogether, of course. But both of concertos are incredible. I love second just as much. It's in a way, it's very different. It's amazing, actually, because again, it's interesting how feeling of time changes with your age, because when I was growing up and studying and discovering this music, it seemed like there was eternity between he wrote these two concertos. In reality, there was only 7 years. The first in 59 and second 66. I was in the world premiere of second concerto, not first, I was too young. But second, 25th of September 1966, the 60th birthday of Shostakovich. I was on all the rehearsals, and there, day before he played first one, with Maksims Skibickis conducting. And on the 25th of September, he played premiere of second, with Svetlanov conducting and Shostakovich sitting there in all the rehearsal, biting his nails, very nervous. It didn't go very well, the rehearsals. Anyway, but there is actually a recording in video of this. I was there, but you can see it anyway. Modern technology is unbelievable. Anyway, that's something else. But no, what I mean, it's not only incredible music, of course, obviously, but it's so fantastically written, as well as orchestra and balance, and there's no balance problems. And altogether, you know, I was in a jury of Queen Elizabeth competition in Brussels, and it was 3 years ago or something. 2, 3, doesn't matter. 4 already. Oh yeah, time flies. You know better. Anyway, yes, exactly. It was supposed to be this year again. Anyway, the point is that why I'm telling this, the Flemish television asked me before the competition to make a program to predict which concerto will be most popular in the finals. I immediately said Shostakovich number 1. Yeah. And I told Shostakovich number 1 is going to win. That's exactly what happened. I'm very proud of being right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But because it's true, it's one of the most suicidal, they say, Shostakovich say, concerto for the finals of the competition is Schumann. Yeah. To win competition with Schumann concerto, it has to be a miracle. because it's so personal. Every cellist feels that it's his, you know, and to like somebody else's doesn't happen very often, jury members. And even Dvorak, I realized suddenly, it's so personal, then it's also open to much more criticism. Shostakovich, if you play it really well, and if you have energy in guts, I mean, you can't even say much there. It's just, but yeah. But then again, it's still not so easy. I remember I was sitting in the jury next to Natalia Gutman, who is my also oldest friend and colleague, and whom I admired and still do. But when I was young, she was my idol. I always say, you know, in interviews, when people ask me if I have to name one cellist who influenced me the most, even though I studied with Rostropovich and Pitigorsky and played for Casals and met Tortevier and Fournier, and if I would have to name one cellist, it would be Gutman. Gutman of 50-something years ago. He has a certain touch and sound was just... Anyway, that's something else. We don't have time for this. But we were sitting together, I'm remembering this, and there were 6 Shostakovich concertos out of 12 finalists, I think, if I'm not, or 7, 6, I think. Doesn't matter. And before another Shostakovich concerto, she told me like this: everything will be clear after first 3 notes. And I told her, come on, Natasha, give him a chance, make it 4. I mean, 3 notes, really. Dum, pum, pum, pa. And of course, it's gross exaggeration, but in a way, she had a point there. This very beginning, it's already very indicative, and it was a problem in the competition until last day. Last day, both finalists played Shostakovich, and last day was the best, and one of them won, although I thought the other one should have, but it's another story. I don't want to get into it. Anyway, I remember as well very memorable, one of hundreds of lessons of Rostropovich with this concerto. Without mentioning names, one of very good, all his students were very good. Yeah. She played this concerto. It was the first lesson of the day. So Rostropovich just came and he was still settling in, doing something, you know, this. And she started something, I'm exaggerating, but just to make point. And he thought she was joking. I thought and then he looked and he realized she was serious. And he said, wait a minute. Okay, he said, no, let's try it again. And she said, he said, wait a minute. Do you remember what dynamics is written there? She says, piano. She knew everything. She was very good. So, he said, what are you doing there? Oh, yeah, but I'm going to play with orchestra. He said, okay. Next question. Do you remember what orchestra plays there? I mean, it's one of the kind of obsession of cellists not having big enough sound balance with orchestra, which is, it's true, it's an issue sometimes. Not here. So, and I tell you, in this competition, I think 4 of the 6, basically, I'm exaggerating, she also didn't play this. But, you know, there is this tendency. You didn't, so don't take it personally. However, I mean, we don't have time to go to the piece. Although, you know, on one hand, it's interesting, strange, I was thinking just now. On one hand, it's the easiest concerto there is. Not really, you know, I don't mean it. But in a sense, because it's so well written, if you just do what's written, but again, you see, I already told this, I'm repeating myself, and we don't have time. But to tell the stories about Rachmaninoff and Toscanini, but I know maybe you heard some, because I repeat myself. But anyway, the point is, it's very important balance between being faithful to the text, which is extremely important. It's good when you play with music, even though cadenza you obviously play it without. But to use music, even for the pieces which you played in no, supposedly, it's always good to refresh your memory. But in the same time, faithful to the spirit, to be able to read between the notes, between the lines, which is, that's what brings music to life. And as much as some composers and Shostakovich as well try to indicate, there's limit. You cannot indicate everything. So what I'm trying to say, on one hand, it's fantastically written. You have the score, you have great teacher who studied with Rostropovich. We all got just like blood transfusion from him, genuinely, but with this music, you know. So, what I'm doing here. Goodbye. No, but on the other hand, still, we could have spent much more time than we have. I have almost to finish now. It's ridiculous. Because there's still a lot of little things and not so little things which one can talk about and try to. See, direction, the very beginning. Let's just do very beginning, because we don't have time. You played very well. You didn't play, but still, it was for me too similar. There is development continuously. It's not. It's a bit too. I mean, flat. Too. You have to try to enlarge your dynamic range and expression range, and there's even this already not identical, because first one it's like, you know, charging your phone battery. It needs a certain time to get to a certain level, and here, in order to go on this. Very often, here it's only twice, but very often the composer speaks in 3 times. And there is a reason for it. It's so much music, there's examples. Anyway. In order to go, it's still not enough to go even further. The same. I mean, even this beginning, there you can find much more. There, different direction, different lighting, different expressions. It shouldn't be too much the same. You see, sometimes on purpose, of course, but very rarely. In this case, I think that's just general idea which you can use. Many other situations in music, and even in this piece. Okay, sorry, it's just terrible this time. I blew it with time, I'm sorry. But okay, anyway, cadenza. It's so long. You know, Rostropovich used to joke, to tell the orchestra, because it's so long and they settle down, they put their bows and make noise. He always told them, in the beginning of the cadenza, please don't move, don't make noise, because it's very important to keep this atmosphere. Then his joke was at the end, you can do as much noise as you want. He didn't need help, but you know, it's okay. You know what I mean. Anyway, but that's something else. But anyway, it's a question of finding this long line and transition from this magical second moment, which is so beautiful, and pity didn't have time to play it, listen to all of it. And then into the finale, which is something else again. I always tell to the orchestras, please, particularly in the West, you know, I tell them, you know what, please, for 6.5 minutes, or whatever it takes, forget about civilization. This is something else. It's like devils dancing in hell. And to come to this cadenza is the whole transition. And you did well, but it can be better. It always can be better. Before I forget the end of the concert, it's a classic. I mean, I'm criticizing some chairs. Oh, he's faking, they're faking. Yes, I do, okay, I don't, it depends what it means. But, the point is then, all this, when he plays, writes più mosse, yes? Tam, pam, pam, badam, pam, pam. And then the last più mosse, yes, of the cadenza. You know what in transition to allegro, to last moment. There is no change of tempo anymore.
Yeah.
And you did like everybody else. After scales finish, then here's suddenly new tempo.
Yeah.
Why? The tempo changes before. And I know it's very difficult in the tempo he wrote to play all the scales properly. It's not Haydn concerto. For him, I'm sure, as important as every note is important. I'm not implying it's not. Don't misunderstand me. But still, what is more important, even the whole character. And so, okay. In order to play, something is wrong. Okay, that's one thing. Another story which obviously Eleanor E.Testeļeca somehow forgot, or maybe you forgot, I'm not sure. Rostropovich, it's interesting because, you know, it was written for him.
Yeah.
He learned it supposedly in 3.5 days. It's hard to believe. Some people say it's exaggerated. Doesn't matter. If it was 5 days, it's still totally unbelievable. Yeah. It's, okay. He played it, first premiere, he played it hundreds of times, he recorded it, he knew this music like nobody else. And that's the story he told himself. He edited his edition, yes?
Yeah.
Still, what he told me, he was sitting in the jury, probably Tchaikovsky competition, and some young cellist, maybe from, I don't know, New Zealand, for example, as far as possible, who maybe never saw the picture of Rostropovich, much less himself, play the concerto. And in the cadenza, this pizzicato, D minor, which you played on 3 strings, it's totally logical.
Yeah.
Fingerings, yes? And that's what he put in. He played all his life the same. He suddenly saw this cellist playing this chord.
Like this.
Sounds much better and easier. Easier, it's not because it's easier, but it's safer to make than three. You see, to make balance all 3 notes, it's possible, of course, and you can. Rostropovich said he almost fell from the chair when he saw this. With all his experience, he never even thought about it. So it's just a point, and you can always learn. Even Rostropovich, even the Shostakovich concerto could learn from some young cellist. You know. It's very important attitude, question of attitude. Yeah. And highly recommended to try. It's just a little thing, but again, it's not so important by itself, but important about being open-minded and never thinking that you know everything, because nobody does, not even Rostropovich, not even Shostakovich himself, in a way. Okay, I could tell more stories, and I really have to go. I can't miss the plane. But yeah, Shostakovich, he was a fantastic pianist, but he was very nervous type, and performing his own music, he usually played very fast and kind of without too much. Once Marta Argerich was learning probably it was quintet, doesn't matter, which piece, chamber music piece. And she listened together with, maybe I should mention the name of this friend of hers who was composer, pianist, fantastically gifted guy, very strange guy. They listened to a recording of Shostakovich, which is kind of a little bit, just get through it. And when it was finished, this guy was sitting and said, Shostakovich doesn't understand anything about his own music. It's like a bad joke. But there is a point to it, because, anyway, he, for example, according to Rostropovich, wanted to make new edition of cello sonata with different indications, because he was very open-minded. He learned from the performers, and there's certain change of dynamics, so which I try to do, which is not in the music. He never did it. He wanted instead then to write new sonata, and he did. But it turned out to be viola sonata. He started this as a cello sonata. I don't know if you know this. So I didn't see it, but supposing there is one page, first page, which of viola sonata, which he started to write for cello. But then it was already when Rostropovich left Soviet Union, and Shostakovich was, as great as he was scared and intimidated by the authorities. You know, there's a great story. Again, not with the concerto, but Shostakovich. Because Rostropovich and Shostakovich were living in the same apartment building in Moscow, you know, but different entrances. And Rostropovich told me, once Shostakovich called him late in the evening and told me, Slava, please, can you come? I really need to speak to someone. Rostropovich, of course, ran immediately. They sat in the kitchen, around this kitchen table, with a glass of vodka each, and Shostakovich, with shaking hands, was drinking this vodka for almost 1 hour in total silence. And then he said, thank you so much, it was very important for me. It says a lot, this story. Oh, he needed to speak, but he couldn't even speak. Anyway. It was dangerous to speak even in your apartment about certain things. Anyway, that's something else we don't have time for. But, you know, so, yeah, where are we? It's a pity because actually there are a lot of little things one still could talk about, but we don't have time. But again, you know, I always say, I'm not a teacher, I don't teach, and but I always say when young cellists come backstage after the concert and ask, do you give lessons? I always say, I just now did. That's the best I can do. I feel that the best way for me to share everything I know and love and understand about music by playing, better than teaching, and different talent. And so you can, if you want, you can listen to my recording, or better, there is on YouTube live concerts with Shostakovich, always better live, and then it's videos, it's maybe a little bit too live or whatever, but actually I don't think so. Again, that's how I feel, obviously, about this music. I feel that it needs certain passion and certain type of playing, which not always very civilized, like last moment, what I was saying. And the certain expression in music, for me personally, is at the end of the day, more important than the quality. Again, it's a question of balance. Of course, quality of playing is very important. But I always say, if the technical perfection, whatever that means, would be the most important thing, nowadays with modern technology, you could make small device, computer type device, which would perform all music ever written more perfect than any human being. In every way, not only technically, but still, luckily nobody did it yet. It might come. You know, I love chess. I don't know if you like chess. I used to play a lot. And when I was young, your age or whatever, I had first category, I played a lot of chess. And in the 60s, one of the world champions, Mikhail Botvinnik, he was a mathematician, great mathematician. When he retired from chess playing, he was developing computer program for chess. People didn't know what computer even means at the time, normal people. And he predicted that in 20 years or whatever, 30 years, the computer will beat humans in chess. And everybody was laughing at him. Oh, in chess, never. Long time ago it happened. In music, I can't imagine, but who knows? Hopefully not in my lifetime. But because there is certain things which no computer in the world can replace, certain emotional. Because, you know, for me, I always say, we have to finish, but maybe it's an important point. there is different levels of connection, communication between artist on stage and audience. The whole. There is this fundamental level, like foundation of the building, which is extremely important. Without this, no building will survive. It's the physical element. We create sounds, sound waves, which reach people's ears. Without sounds, there's no music, unless it's John Cage, who wrote Silent Piece, for 33. Oh, you know better. I don't never remember exactly. Yes, good, bravo. Anyway, but okay. And there's hundreds, or maybe, no, not hundreds, thousands of musicians who master this level, who can play their instrument very good, very loud, very clean, very beautiful, everything fine. Then there's next level. It's the intellectual element. Through sounds we produce certain musical ideas which reach people's minds, hopefully, deeper than ears. And there are hundreds of wonderful musicians who master both these levels. But then for me, there's even higher level, is this emotional element. Not instead, in addition. Yeah. If I continue this comparison with building, the foundation is incredibly important. Then comes the building itself and construction, the engineering, the design. There's windows, there's stairs, there's doors, there's canalization, there's electricity, there's everything, which is extremely important. It's all has to be in place, otherwise it doesn't function. But then there are great architects who add certain touch. Even here, you look, it's totally unnecessary, these decorations, yes? Or much more better examples in Riga, Plence, I mean, go one building after another. Unique. And it's nothing to do with foundation or with structure, but with certain aesthetic element. And this emotional element in music, when you sometimes succeed to reach people's hearts, at the end of the day, that's what makes the difference between very good musicians and the great artists. This miraculous, mysterious thing. You listen to the concert, or recording even sometimes, and there's some moment which kind of touches you in a certain way, which I can't explain with words, but maybe you might remember the rest of your life. And that's what it's all about. So, yeah, on this note, because, people sometimes ask, what is the secret of your whatever sound or vibrato or this or that? I don't know. I don't have any secrets anyway. I'm an open book. Certain things I just can't explain with words, but I certainly don't try to hide anything. Quite the opposite. I think the secret, if there is secret, is just, it's certain, what makes difference, not difference, but what's one of the most important qualities of a really great artist, it's certain emotional generosity. When you open your heart and try to share everything you have. No matter how tired you might be, nobody can expect us to be always in best condition. I played, in the last 5 days, I played 4 different programs in 3 different countries. And 2 of these concerts in Germany I played twice. At 7 and 9 o'clock I played Schubert Quintet and Samson Sons piece with quartet twice in the Schubert Quintet, and emotionally it's unbelievable piece. And next day I played a recital program with my daughter twice at 7 and 9, this pandemic situation. So it's like double. So I'm totally exhausted and don't sleep much and so. Okay, but it's nobody's business. People come, they might be hearing you for the first time or maybe the only time, last time, and they want your best. Yeah. You never can, nobody can expect you to be in your best shape always. But it's not a question of how much you have, it's how much you share. You can be the richest man in the world and keep it all for yourself, so to say. Or you can share the last piece of bread with somebody who is starving, and that's much more valuable. It's an extreme example, but it's a question of certain emotional generosity. And in order to reach people's heart, The point is that it has to originate from your heart. And then it goes through your computer here, which gives commands to your hands, and it goes through your instrument and comes out, and it's a very complex process. But still, at the end of the day, because it sounds very corny, I know, I'm sorry, but long before Beatles, all one needs is love. If you do whatever you do in life, no matter what you do in life, play music or cook in the restaurant or make furniture or whatever the hell, if you do it with love, that's what makes the difference at the end. I have to go, thank you. I'm sorry we didn't have more time, but thank you very much. Thank you, and bravi. And send my love to Eleanor and big hug. And I'm sorry I didn't get to see her this time. But she's fine, yes?
Yeah.
Great.
In her 83,
Yes,
she's
it's amazing.
feeling like a 30-year young girl.
Fantastic. Yeah, because she has spirit, and see, that's what, yeah, she's just spark and great. I'm very happy to hear it, and I hope to see her many more times. And